So I want to share with you this story here because we're almost at the year point when we had this little great moment of history when the entire parliament, the House of Commons here in Canada, applauded a Nazi. Not once, not twice, but a few times. Applauded a Nazi a few times that we were told to believe that this guy was a hero because he was supporting the efforts of Justin Trudeau and Zelensky's war against Russia. Their fabricated war, this war that started as a proxy in 2014, that they wanted to advance warfare with Russia, that Canada got swept in with Justin Trudeau, even though we're supposed to be peacekeepers, we're supposed to stay detente away from war. We advanced the warfare over there, continue to pledge millions of dollars away from taxpayers and bleed this country dry to advance this warfare. And we applauded a Nazi numerous times in the House of Commons. So, little less than a year ago, you may remember at the end of September of 2023, the Canadian Parliament gave a standing ovation to a World War II Nazi during Zelensky's visit. Yaroslav Hunka fought for the 14th Division of the Waffen SS. And here's the clip of it from CBC News.
Zelensky's speech received at least a dozen standing ovations. There was also one for this man, a 98-year-old Ukrainian Canadian who fought for Ukrainian independence against the Russians during the Second World War.
So, of course, they're trying to pander to the fact that, oh, this guy is, a hero because he fought for independence in Ukraine. But then they got caught. They got caught because people were able to see this in real time, did a little background research, and then found out, oopsie daisy, this guy is actually a mass murderer. This guy is actually part of the Nazis who killed and slaughtered a bunch of Jewish and Polish citizens during World War II and then exiled off to Ukraine, just like how we took a bunch of Nazis over to our territory during Operation Paperclip, as you're about to later find out in this clip here. We harbored, we de factoed a lot of these Nazis. We didn't really defeat fascism. We took parts of the fascism and then brought it to our territories. And this all got revealed. They got caught. The Speaker of the House of Commons had to resign. I believe Anthony Rota, I believe his name was. I can't remember on the top of my head. Had to resign. Justin Trudeau got caught. He then called it Russian misinformation because that's the go-to these days. He said it was a false flag attack. It's misinformation. It's a deep fake. They came up with every single scenario to try to de facto away from the fact that they got caught applauding Nazis, even though this was live feed. Those are all politicians. They're not actors. It wasn't staged. They all were there applauding Zelensky's visit and his speech for more perpetual war, and then applauded this Nazi. So then, after Justin Trudeau gets caught and has to, do something about it to win back support, he says he's going to look carefully into releasing the names of ex-Nazis here in Canada. And that was shortly after everything got exposed, when the word got out, when this became a global-wide phenomenon because the headline spread all across the world that, holy crap, Canada is supporting Nazis. That ain't good. That ain't good for our reputation. That ain't good for Mr. Pretty Boy over here. So I got to pretend to do something about this. So he's going to look carefully into releasing the documents that showed how much Canada has brought in these war criminals that should have been prosecuted the day of, when the Nuremberg trials and they started prosecuting the war crimes of Germany. How we pretty much saved a part of fascism for ourselves. We didn't defeat it in World War II. We took a part of it for ourselves. That's a little darkness in our history that you weren't told in school. I wasn't told this in school, but it did happen. So much that did happen, it got revealed in mainstream media because in 1997, as Max Blumenthal points out, I cite this 1997 60-minute special, Canada's Dark Secret, which exposed Ottawa's post-war policy of welcoming Nazi SS veterans. A historian recalls how Pierre Trudeau, that's Justin Trudeau's father, former prime minister, his father, told him his government hid the Nazi criminals and documents of how Ukrainian and Baltic immigrants received instant Canadian citizenship by showing the SS tattoo. This proved that you were an anti-communist. You know, it's like the temporary foreign worker program of the day. You know, you just bring in these Nazi criminals that have mass murdered a bunch of people overseas, and you know, are you willing to work cheap? Okay, you're welcome. Come on in. Are you an anti-communist? Okay, you got the tattoo? Perfect. You're in. No documents, no hesitation. Forget the legal process. Forget any sort of jurisdiction. Just come in. Come in and invade our country. Come in and invade and become a harboring criminal in our limelight. And this is 60 minutes. So this is well documented. This is not in the dark. This is not pulling up from, you know, darkness of the FBI headquarters. Something they had to, you know, get a FISA warrant for, or a Freedom of Information Act granted for it. This is well documented. And a lot of people that are pushing for this war, a lot of the war criminals and war profiteers themselves, are very, very, very worried that this could reveal a lot. That if we reveal these documents of how much of these Nazis we poured into this country, could that hurt the message of trying to bring more war into the Ukraine and Russia territory? And that's what the Ottawa Citizen is pointing out here. It says Ukrainian Group says it plans court challenge to prevent release of names of alleged Nazi war criminals. I wonder why that is. I wonder why Ukrainian Canadian Group is worried about releasing documents of Nazis, European Nazis, releasing the documents to the general Canadian public. Why would they be concerned about that? Could it be the fact that a lot of those Nazis de factoed into Ukraine? Little piece of history that a lot of people didn't know about that. A lot of people didn't know that a lot of those Nazis fled into Ukraine, fled into our territories through Operation Paperclip through the CIA. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know about the Maidan coup. They don't know about 2014. They don't know about Victoria Nuland, her presence into flipping the democratic vote in Ukraine to get Volodymyr Zelensky elected. This comedian that had nothing to do with politics, but was able to be a slave for the security state, for the intelligence agencies, for the military-industrial complex. A lot of people don't know about that. They don't even know about the Azov Battalion, even though it was documented on City News. And I wish I had that clip on to show you again. City News in Toronto here even pointed it out back in 2019. And just a couple years later, all of a sudden, now Ukraine's the hero because Russia somehow on a cold, snowy night in February just had the audacity to invade. But they don't tell you why they're invading. They don't tell you any of the backstory because it would reveal and destroy the narrative to push this war. Just like how they're doing here. So the Ukrainian Canadian Congress says it plans to go to court to stop the federal government from making public the names of alleged Nazi war criminals who fled to this country. The Ukrainian Canadian Congress, or UCC, is now circulating a letter asking for donations to finance the proposed legal challenge in federal court. The organization, which states it represents the Canadian-Ukrainian community, wants to raise $150,000, according to a copy of the August 28th letter obtained by the Ottawa Citizen. It is appalling. This is what they're saying. It is appalling that the Canadian government would attempt for no good reason to subject innocent Canadians, their family members, and descendants to public scorn, said the CEO and executive director of the UCC in a fundraising plea. Imagine that. Imagine the audacity you would have to be to call mass murder Nazis, mass murdering fascists, innocent. Imagine the mindset you have to be to look at that and go, how dare you? How dare we bring justice to people that have lost? Again, this is how insane the mindset of these people are. How dare we subjugate war criminals and prosecute them and hold them accountable? This is where, again, this is where my mind just gets blown every time you see stuff like this. At the same time, the Canadian government is announcing this pledge to support Israel because we got to support Jewish citizens. Oh, we got to protect, Jewish students here on college campuses. That's why we've got cracked heads of protesters. Here you are trying to hide the fact that Canada harbored Nazis into our country. At the same time, you're trying to protect Jewish people. These are the people that killed Jewish people. You're protecting fascists. How does your mind not go into circles and scrambled and just get absolutely bombasted with the utter stupidity of these people, the utter insanity these people are? A number of the alleged war criminals on the federal government list are believed to be originally from Ukraine or other Eastern European nations. At issue are documents created by a 1986 federal government war crimes commission led by Justice Jules Descends. One of the documents is titled Master List of Alleged War Criminals Resident in Canada with a list of sources. It contains 774 names. Other records held by the inquiry included additional names of alleged war criminals, as well as Nazi scientists and technicians who came to Canada. The total number is around 900. The records have been requested under Canada's Access to Information Law and Library of Archives Canada. In Ottawa, still has to decide whether to release the documents. The LAC consulted in June and July with what they call a discrete group of individuals or organizations about whether the list should be made public, according to documents obtained by the Ottawa Citizen. Those consulted included members of Canadians' Ukrainian community, but LAC did not include Holocaust survivors nor Holocaust scholars who had advocated for a full release of the list of alleged Nazi war criminals, Jewish and Holocaust academics say. Wow, who's being the anti-Semite now? Oh my God, is this group run by Hamas? Like, where's the protest on them? Where's the anger towards them? I'm gonna yell at Susie, whatever her name is, and the college campuses playing hacky sack because she wants to recognize Palestine and Palestinian citizens for not being murdered. But it's okay that we're not acknowledging Holocaust survivors and scholars into whether or not we should be listing off the war criminals we're harboring in this country. But if you're a Zionist, you know exactly why you're not listening to Holocaust survivors. Some of the individuals and organizations consulted by ALC argued against releasing any of the information, warning it could be embarrassing or lead to prosecutions of alleged war criminals. Oh my God. How insane would that be? That we hold mass murderers accountable. Oh my God. That'd be too embarrassing. No. Oh God. Can you imagine a country actually being responsible for upholding the law against a mass murderer Nazi? Oh, that is too much for us to handle. I don't know how we could do that. Other stakeholders who advised LAC worried the list would embarrass Canadians' Ukrainian community or be used for Russians for propaganda purposes. So again, they're worried that this will diminish the official war narrative. That's why this will never be released. That's why they're doing everything they can to stop this from being public. Because God forbid, if people find out the truth about this, then God forbid people find out the truth about war, and then we can never sell this war to people again. That's why they keep you in the dark. That's why they'll never tell you the truth about war. That's why they never tell you the backstories of how war initiates. They just tell you this guy's bad, this guy's good. We got to fight, fight, fight. Give us money. Shut the hell up. And if you don't shut the hell up, then obviously you're a puppet for the other guy. That's how it works. That's how we got 20 years of Afghanistan, because they told you to shut the hell up and believe it. And if you question it or are critical or looked into it, investigate it, you're considered a terrorist supporter. You're considered a friend of Osama bin Laden. You're considered this guy. You're considered this. You're a Putin's puppet. You're a Putin's buddy. No matter where it is, no matter where it is in the world, the military-industrial complex always has to sell the idea of war. And if they find out that, hey, we're actually helping a bunch of Nazis that killed and mass murdered a bunch of people, people won't be, so kind to supporting Ukraine, considering the fact that they're already getting low numbers in support already. When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2020, okay, so now they're trying to, again, they're pandering to this because the Ottawa Citizen doesn't want to get called out for being a Russian asset or anything like that. Jewish groups, however, have been pushing for the list to be made public, as well as for the federal government to release RCMP files on the alleged Nazi war criminals. The Defense Commission determined that claims that large numbers of war criminals snuck into Canada were exaggerated, but inquiry researchers also determined that because of the inaccurate government screening after the war, it'd be rash to assume that significant numbers of war criminals and Nazi collaborators did not enter Canada. You just saw the 60 Minutes clip there. We've shown it before that if you just had the tattoo, they let them in. They poured these people in because they want to make sure that, hey, if you're anti-communist and on our side, you're welcome to join the battle. We just need more people to kill. We need more people to go out there, be in the front lines, and slaughter more people. We don't care where you came from. We don't care about backgrounds. Yeah, it's like the temporary worker program of the day. The commission did not conduct separate detailed investigations into the hundreds of individuals alleged to be war criminals. At the time, dissent stated part of the report would be confidential. So there you go, folks. It will never be released publicly. That's, this, when Trudeau says he's looking carefully, that was just a scapegoat for him to look like he's actually, being responsible for his actions. Like, oh, I made the mistake of bringing this guy on, applauding him in front of Parliament, making, our government look bad. I'm going to do something to, shame myself and shame our party by looking at these documents, but it's going to reveal too much. It's going to reveal that the war narrative of Ukraine is a joke. It's a lie. It's a fable. And also it's going to reveal that my father was the coordinator in all this. So that's going to hurt the Trudeau image. So then, after that got released, of course, the good buddies at the rest of the mainstream narratives, like the Globe and Mail, for example, came out with this report saying Ottawa warned release of names of Nazi war criminals who settled into Canada could help Russia. Here we go again, folks. It's never going to end. It's never, ever, ever going to end. If they can find any minuscule to blame Russia for anything, to keep this war narrative going, they will. They will blame anything on Russia, anything. Even throwing typical general middle of the middle line Americans on the Russian path because they're not towing the line for war propaganda. Like, now they're revamping the Russiagate narrative in the 2024 election. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder why. Because could it be the fact that a game show host is winning again? Oh my God! Now we got to blame Russia again because we're such failures in the government, because we don't actually help people, because we actually diminish the prosperity of our nation to go blow up another nation and the prosperity of us. Wow. So they're never going to release this. They're never going to release this, but let it be known that once upon a time, this is the history lesson you will never be told in Canadian schools. Once upon a time, we brought in Nazi war criminals and they live among us. So if you think that World War II ended fascism and Germany paid a price and, we never had fascism again, holy crap, are you wrong? In fact, fascism, the only thing we did with fascism is got it out of public spotlight. Now it's in the private sector. We went, all the horrific advancements in technology used to blackmail and manipulate us and mind control us. That's coming from them. That's coming from them. There's Nazis in the CIA. There's Nazis in the NSA. There's Nazi war criminals that are in, NASA. There wouldn't be a space exploration without these horrific scientists and evil monsters. And originally, it wasn't even for space exploration. They were trying to use NASA as a weapon. This is all the stuff that you were never, ever really taught in school. And all you have to do is go check out that 60 Minutes documentary, because it is unfathomable how dark, creepy, cringeworthy, and disgusting it is that this is not being addressed, that I was never told this. And I had to find out all these years later, even though it's well documented. That was from 1997, well documented. And I had to find out till most recently that, hey, we took a bunch of those Nazis and we used them to our advantage. And now we're still using them to our advantage, even though we're trying to say that we care about Jewish people and Jewish citizens, and college students are being being hated for their Jewish faith, even though we're still hiding for Nazis that mass murdered a bunch of Jewish people. Like, the backwards, upside down world we live in.